Hello. Sorry about that. Alright. Let us continue this. Don't know why it's crashing a lot, but hopefully that'll be a big problem. We started to watch the bright fish swim. There were a bunch of them floating to and fro in open space. They stood out starkly against the green aquamarine plants. How long have you had those fish?
I guess.
My dad bought them for me not very long after I moved here. I guess it's been years now. Oh, that's a long time. You peered carefully into the tank. The fish looked to be doing well. You must be taking good care of them. Most of them were small, but there was one especially big one. What are their names? Well, I don't name them. Well, not really. Lift an eyebrow at that. He continued the explanation sheepishly. Just call them things based on what they look like. Squirt for the small one, tangerine for the really big one, really orange one, that sort of thing. I've had a lot of fish and I'm not good at coming up with names. Relatable. You didn't have any pets, but you always had trouble naming your stuffed animals or whatever else. It was really hard choice. Buddy, calm down. Calm, sit. Sit. A couple of them have other types of names. He pointed to a small orangish red fish. It was minding its own business away from the others. My dad named her Dreamcatcher, and that one's Mark. Mom came up with that one. Cove smiled to himself, his eyes reflecting the glow from the tank. Let other people name your fish?
It's nice.
Yeah, it's nice. He turned to face you, tilting his head to the side. There was a considering look on his face. You want to name one? Yeah, I do. His smile grew a little at your enthusiasm. Cool. There's a few who don't have names right now, the newer ones. You can pick which one you want to name. He pointed each of the recent acquisitions out to you. First one was the smaller fish in the tank. It was completely orange and zipped all over the place, running laps around the others. The second was a slightly bigger and red. Its tail was dotted with black spots, which resembled freckles. The last fish was the biggest one. Its multicolored scales rippled across the bright light of the tank as it slowly made its way across the vast expanse. You went with, I don't know, bigger fish? Cove only nodded at your answer, waiting for you to decide on a suitable name. You watched the fish as closely as you chose closely. As you did, a name eventually came to you. Cove. Bill. Let me type one. Oh. It's a mafia boss name. Big T. Big T. Alright, Big T. I don't know why it's T of all letters, but anyway. With that, his attention moved from you to the tank. He peered fondly at it and its inhabitants. He smiled proudly at Big T as it swam through the tendrils of the plants, disappearing, then reappearing soon after. You must have noticed that Cove was sitting closer to you than he was before. He must have scooted over at some point during the conversation. This close, your shoulders were almost brushing against each other. Your heartbeat picked up a little at the realization, no, I'm not allowed to have pets in my house, not even fish. Corners of lips, Cove's lips turned down at that. It doesn't sound fair. It's not like fish would make a mess of your house or anything. You just gotta take care of the tank and feed them and they'll be okay. Right, my moms could be strict over the weirdest things sometimes. They trust Elizabeth and me to go around the neighborhood alone, but they don't let us have a pet. It doesn't make sense. Maybe when you're older, they'll let you? I don't know, they seem pretty against it. Your current conversation brought to mind a memory from years ago. You launched into it without any warning, earning you a brief, confused look from Cove. Hold on. A dog is roaming around. Buddy. You can hear it. Be relaxed and chill. Come on in. Meet. Sorry about that. One time, Elizabeth came back from playing at the beach and just shut herself in her room. She only came down for food and then she ran back upstairs straight after. It was kind of weird. My moms didn't think much of it at first. But then that night, Ma went to her room and said goodnight and started screaming. Mom and I ran over to see what happened. Lizzie had this huge lizard in her arms. Cove's eyebrows rose after that, then he leaned forward in interest.
Really?
Lizard? Where did that come from? Elizabeth said she saw it half buried in the sand and didn't know what it was. Then she pulled it out and got an answer, so she brought it home. She hid the lizard in her room for most of the day because she wanted to keep it. Mom and Ma were not happy. They worried about putting it out during night, but she was gonna have to let it go in the morning. Lizzie was really upset. She did bring it back to the beach eventually, but she wouldn't talk to anyone for days. When she did get over it, it was almost like it never happened. You laughed, thinking back to that time. Elizabeth had always been stubborn, but when she was younger, she forgot grudges quickly. Now it wasn't so easy. Sorry. Cove had always been quiet for most of the story. Apart from the reveal of the lizard, he had a thoughtful look on his face. Can't imagine what it would be like to have a sibling. He gave serious thought to his statement before he told him. Up and downs. It's fun to have her there when she wants to be there, but now Elizabeth barely feels like hanging out with me. Cove pursed his lips at the words, considering them quite quietly for a while.
Cool.
That's interesting. I think your family is cool. He didn't have much else to say, though while on the topic of your family, he considered your relationship with your moms too. Got along. You had disagreements with them, but at the end of the day, you loved them and they loved you. That was really what mattered. A thought struck you, and your attention suddenly settled back on Cove. Yeah, my moms might not let Elizabeth or me have pets and stuff, but at least they never tried to pay someone to be my friend. Ooh. Grinned over at Cove. It had been years since he found out about your first meeting with his dad. It was easy to joke about these days. Cove tossed his head back in an overly dramatic way, sighing heavily. I almost forgot about that. Really?
No way.
No, not really. I never am able to forget that actually happened for the rest of my life. It's gonna humiliate me forever. I'm really sorry about what happened, Cove. Cove took one look at your remorseful face and waved your apology off with one hand. It's okay. I mean, it's not, but I'm not sad about it anymore, just really embarrassed. Yeah. Time passed, but you didn't really notice. The two of you were busy, making plans for the rest of the summer, and chatting about your respective days. Eventually, you heard a muffled holler from the different part of the house. You and Cove raised your heads in unison.
Oh.
It's time for dinner. Cove watched the firmly shut door. He had been locked behind most of the night. He didn't make a move to get up from the bed. You couldn't see his face, but you didn't know what expression he was wearing. Glad he came. Cove peeked back at you from the side. It's been awkward. Yeah, I bet. Really, I couldn't tell. You're being sarcastic, of course. It was obvious that he felt weird about his parents generally, and especially lately. Cove said nothing else and remained sat where he was. Now would be a good time to ask him why his parents so suddenly wanted you to come over. Is there a reason they wanted me to come over tonight? It hasn't been awkward for just me. Sometimes it gets like this and no one else is around, but now you're here. No, you hadn't considered that. It sort of made sense in a way. There's another shout from outside. Too muffled to actually know the words, but you can imagine what they were. Let's go. Cove finally got up, lumbering away with his shoulders sagged. You followed after him. Together, the two of you made your way back to the living room. Oh, there you go. As you expected, Cove's parents were politely waiting for you at the kitchen table. Besides the window overlooking the back of the house, food had been prepared and set. Mr. Holden beamed as you and Cove took your places. Sorry. Hope everyone's hungry. I cooked up a feast. So I'm finishing my own food. Ah.
Yeah.
I know I am. I'm coughing. Yeah. So. It's spicy food, that's why I'm coughing. Cove's mumbled response wasn't nearly as upbeat as theirs. His parents didn't notice, or pretended not to. Mr. Holden instead looked at you, grinning.
Thanks.
So I'll just take a moment to thank our special guest for being with us here tonight. I'm so glad you were able to make it snow on such short notice. What are you doing? Or had been lazing around in my room all day, so now he wants out. You thanked Cove's parents back for inviting you. Thank you for having me over.
Alright.
Well, that's it. Everyone, please dig in. You can help yourselves to the food. Upon his encouragement, you look over to the meal spread out in front of you. There were a large garden salad in the center, surrounded by a variety of Mexican dishes. There were a lot of sides and optional sauces to add. You were happy about these options. You love Mexican food, and there were so many dishes to choose from, you were practically drooling. Utensils and plates scraped and clinked together as the group began filling their plates. Cliff, could you pass the salsa verde? Of course.
Thanks.
Thank you. Let me just say, you really outdid yourself tonight. I'm so jealous. Jealous of what? Your cooking's nothing to sneeze at, Kyra. Cove's parents made small talk, filling the silence with what seemed to be barely any effort. You joined right in without a thought. I didn't know you could cook.
Huh?
You didn't? Who do you think has been feeding me and Cove all this time? I don't know. Maybe you guys get takeout and stuff? You could afford it, I think. Cove, Mr. Holden sputtered, acting grossly offended, but was grinning good-naturedly. Takeout? If we ate that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we wouldn't have it made it this long. Cove's mom leaned towards you, her eyes twinkling merrily. You know, it seems like Cliff is a big goof, but he does have some skills.
Hey.
Hey now. It sounds less like a compliment and more like an insult.
Don't worry about that.
That's how you want to take it. I can't stop you, can I? Such disrespect into my own home. Sorry, my friend. Everything looks good, Dad, as always. Thanks, sport. Glad you think so. Cove smiled. It was genuine, even if it was strained at the corners. Brief silence interspersed the small talk. You piled some more food on your plate, waiting for your turn if someone was serving themselves a dish they had your eye on. Once the food had been divided and things settled down, Cove's parents started talking again. Now then. You sat up in your seat when you noticed they were both looking at you. Oh,
How's it going?
how has everything been at your house? Are your moms well? You been keeping busy this summer? Or maybe you're trying to take it easy during the break? So many questions. Felt overwhelmed with the sudden rush of questions. You were blindsided by them. Then again, this was Mr. Holden. Maybe you should have expected this. How things were at your house. Hold on. It's been good.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's wonderful. Told them how your moms were doing. Moms are great. Mom took us out for dessert a couple weeks ago since her project went really well. Is that so? I'll have to congratulate her when I see her. You mentioned things you've done this summer. Sorry. I'm not sure where to start. There's so much that happened. You should know what I've been up to since so much has included your family. Mr. Holden laughed loud and short. You caught him off guard with that. A fair point. That was that for your questioning. Kyra nodded. You could tell she was actually listening to the words you were saying. She was trying to include you, not humor you. Did you know, Cliff? Snow is really into the ocean. Mr. Holden's face lit up. And he stopped eating so he could lean forward. His arms braced against the table. Oh, God.
Nice work.
You fucked me. You fucked me. Kyra, you fucked me because he's gonna bombard me with shit about the ocean. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's right. Very cool. Oh, it's not a big thing. Oh, don't downplay your interests like that. Kyra's right. If you enjoy it, then it's definitely a big thing. Thanks. Cove's parents were definitely the encouraging type, but you could already tell that much about them. There was a lull in the conversation as everyone focused their attention on their respective plates. You know, not for the first time that Cove's parents were the ones guiding the conversation. You wondered if you should break the silence this time. Sorry. We'll bring conversation up. I also like other things. Would you like to tell us more?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You looked genuinely eager. They looked genuinely eager for you to keep talking, so you did. The rest of the dinner continued just like that, with light conversation as you ate your meals. Eventually, all the dishes on the kitchen table were pretty much gone. Kyra set down her fork and rested her arms at her side, letting loose a satisfied sigh. Her plate was completely empty. I've never really noticed this. The sun? Like a sun thing? Is that a necklace? No, it's not. It's just a tattoo. That was delish. Thank you for your culinary creations, Cliff. I like the blushing. Mr. Holden was like a flower soaking up the rays of the sun. He beamed, flattered by the praise. You ate way too much. You were practically licking your plate clean. You were so full that you were afraid you might burst. Honestly, I would eat everything on my plate. I'm not going to waste anything. Cove successfully kept his presence to a minimum for the full meal. He was slumped over, even now, toying with his silverware. His parents practically only talked to you. Most attempts to entice him to join the conversation failed. It wasn't typical for him to say so little. He at least tried to participate. It didn't get much time to contemplate Cove's situation because your attention was taken by Mr. Holden's pointedly clearing his voice. Not to sound like a broken record, but thanks for coming, Snow. I'm glad we finally got the chance to have you over for a real dinner.
What?
What? Did you hear that right? This is the first time Snow has ever had dinner here. Why in the world haven't you invited him over so sooner? Cove was always the one going over to Snow's house until now. I mean, how was I supposed to reject the generous offer of the Parker family to host my kid? What? Kyra shook her head, but the amused smile she was sporting told you that she wasn't actually mad. This guy, honestly. What?
I mean...
Sorry, it lagged, so it wasn't responding to my clicks. The three of you looked at Cove in unison. His small sound being more than enough to get the focus on him after his silence. But by now he'd stopped fiddling with his fork.
I mean...
Would it be alright for Snow to stay over, like, the night? He shot you a shy glance, then, smiling a little. If you're cool with that. Mr. Holden's shoulders stiffened. He sat up straighter, eyes darting back and forth between you and Cove. His mouth opened, but not a peep came out. You never seen that Cove's dad say no to him before, but this was different than a usual request. It wasn't so simple and Mr. Holden was lost. Then Cove's mom reached out and took a hold of his shirt collar. She pulled him closer. She glanced at you before leaning in and bringing a hand up in front of their faces. The two adults whispered seriously to each other. Cove's eyes opened wider. He leaned forward as if it would help him overhear his parents' conversation. Mr. Holden kept gesturing with his hands, while Kyra made sure he didn't get too far away with all of his movements. Every now and then, both of them would watch you and Cove out of the corner of their eyes. It didn't seem like they were fighting to you. They looked more like some kind of tiny sports team having a private huddle. After a bit, they broke the group up. They moved back to sit properly in their chairs. You snuck a look at Cove. He stared at them expectantly. You were eager to hear their verdict too. Well, Kyra and I think that should be fine, but he lifted a finger dramatically, his brows raising as he met Cove's gaze and then yours. We will have to talk to Snow's parents to make sure that they'd be comfortable with it. If they are, we can arrange for a sleepover to happen on a different night when everyone is more prepared. If Snow's folks don't like the idea, there's nothing we can do. He finished the mini speech with a wide shrug. Using his full arms, he also checked out Kyra from the corner of his eye and gave her a crooked smile. She nodded approvingly and grinned back. You thought you saw her give him a thumbs up, but her hand was partially blocked by the table. They looked so pleased with themselves over the answer, but they passed the actual decision on whether it was alright or not to someone else, namely your parents. It was a sports game. They would have punted the ball away. Cove hung his head, deflated. He had been hoping you could stay over today, not some hypothetical time in the future. Oh. Sneak the fun in my room tonight. Sneak the fun. Hopefully they don't hear that. Cove's eyes sparkled at the suggestion. You wouldn't be surprised to have him knock on your window sometime. Though he likely still would without the invite. With that, dinner finally came to an end. Mr. Holden stood up from the table and began collecting empty plates. Cove was asking to help out, which he did with a little fuss. Kyra tried to lend a hand as well. However, Mr. Holden didn't let her. It seems she was barred from cleaning as well as cooking. You weren't allowed to chip in either, since you were declared the guest of honor. You're meowing. Although the meal was over, the night wasn't. It looked like you weren't going home just yet after all. You were asked to wait on the couch. While Cove and his dad were cleaning up the mess, Kyra disappeared down the hall after shooing you a wink. Sorry about that. It was a bit strange, sitting by yourself while everyone had something to do. Luckily, you weren't alone for too long. God damn it. Come on, self-voicing disabled. I'm waiting for self-voicing disabled because I sleep. It's something. Nope. Okay, sure. After a couple minutes, Cove's mom returned with a deck of cards in hand. She strolled into the room confidently while shuffling. So, who's up for a few rounds? Cove and his dad looked over their shoulders at the question. They were mutually intrigued by the cards in her hands. I want to make sure the audio is doing good. Yes. She beamed at their expressions and stepped further into the living room. Ignoring the couches, she sat cross-legged on the floor by the coffee table. She turned to you and gestured at the space beside her, smiling invitingly. You accepted and followed her lead. The living room carpet was soft, though the hardwood wood floor underneath could definitely still be felt. Kara did an overhand shuffle while she waited for the others to finish their tasks. The smile had yet to leave her lips.
Great.
This is gonna be good. I don't remember the cards.
Self-voicing disabled.
Oh, now you're gonna say self-voicing disabled. Okay. I'm bored. I don't know. You weren't interested in playing a card game. This wasn't what you signed up for. It didn't take much longer for Cove and his dad to wrap things enough to call it good. Cove's dad appeared first, followed closely behind Cove. Mr. Holden rubbed his hands together in anticipation. Alright, I'm ready. As he took a seat across from you on the floor, you noticed that Cove hadn't joined him. He went straight down the hall instead, even without a word. You stared on confused as he disappeared through his bedroom door. Cove's parents didn't look concerned at the stunt. Kyra nonchalantly split the deck into two and rifled the halves together while offering an explanation of the sorts. Cove doesn't keep his wallet with him when at home, he puts it away. Oh, what? Oh, I forgot about this. I was confused. I was like, okay, yeah, he's leaving. No, I remember this. God, no, I forgot. They use actual money for games. They use actual money. Actual money. They gamble. They're a gambling family. I wouldn't be surprised if Cliff is actually secretly in the mafia. I was like, I'm gonna name the fish Big T, you know, he's a mafia boss with the fishes. You're gonna sleep with the humans. Yeah, I wonder how that would work. Like a fish who's a mafia boss. You know how there's like concrete shoes and stuff that they throw you in the ocean, you're gonna sleep with the fishes. What's the opposite of that for fishes? You know, you sleep with the humans. What do they do? Like maybe they go get near to the I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do. Maybe something to float to the surface and you're stuck there. No, you can't breathe. Or breathe from the ocean, whatever. Cove quickly returned to the living room, a black wallet in his hand. He took a place at the foot of the table with the rest of you. You blinked as Cove unzipped his wallet. You guys use real money when you're not, even when you're only playing card games with each other. When you sat there, your hands idle in your lap, the three shoot looks at one another and sized each other up.
Yeah.
That's right, $5 per round per person, when it takes all. Go big or go home. Oh, are you planning on kicking Snow to the curb, or do you intend on donating it to the guest of honor's pot, Mr. Hyrule? Mr. Hoy narrowed his eyes and leaned back against the side of the couch, completely at ease.
No worries.
If Snow wants to play, I'll fund his way in. Don't you worry about that. It's so weird. It's so weird. He rested an arm across the top of his knee that he propped up. Cove's dad was acting slick in a way you've never seen before. Okay, whoever, accept the offer. Thanks, Mr. Holden. His tone and stance instantly became more familiarly friendly when he started directing his words towards you. No problem, you can count on me. Can you let me pay for Snow? He's my friend. Mr. Grin. Mr. Grinned? Yeah, no, your name is Mr. Grin. Mr. Grin grinned with a chuckle.
Good.
Alright, but I concede. You're too polite for me. Well, I've got your ticket. Interested in throwing in? You glanced around. This seemed to be serious business. In response to your consideration, Kyra softened her competitive smile. Don't worry too much. We'll probably do some rounds of Go Fish tonight. No biggie. Oh, Go
Do
Fish.
you mind?
Okay. What do you think? You joined in. I'm sorry, there's a cat at my door. I'll be right back. Hey, I'm back. Definitely, I want to play. It's so weird. I was confused why Cove was just leaving. I was like, okay, maybe he just doesn't want to deal with his parents and stuff. Like, that makes sense, whatever. He can do that. No! He's a gambler. He's a gambler. Mr. Horn gave you a big thumbs up while Cove nodded firmly back. I'm decent at Go Fish. Sometimes you won, sometimes you lost. You like to think you weren't bad at it, though. Honestly, it's really hard to remember what cars a lot of people had and, like, where those cars go after. It's kind of like Uno, you know? Fantastic. We'll play for however long everyone wants to keep going, or until people start running out of cash, but are still refusing to quit while they're behind. Speak for yourself, I see. What, with a laugh, Kira nudged you with an elbow, then motioned towards the other two with her chin. Don't be fooled by their soft faces. These boys are sharks. In reaction to her words, Mr. Holland smirked and Cove's eyebrows became more angled. Kyra's phrasing made you think back to when you were young, specifically of Mr. Holland's favorite shark pants that he used to wear all the time. Sorry, someone's here. There we go. I just had to tell someone I'm live. Kyra's phrasing made you think back to when you were young, Specifically of Mr. Horn's favorite shark pants that he used to wear all the time. Perhaps they had been more fitting for him in ways you didn't know of. I'm sorry if there's dogs barking in the background. You could feel tension in the air. Cove and his parents glued their eyes to one another. Then all placed $5 bills in an empty space in front of them. Cove dropped the next one for you, giving a tiny smile after he did. Once this was done, Pyra began dealing out cards to everyone. It was time to begin. The first round came and went quickly, with the group getting into the groove of things. You won right away, which meant you had money to keep playing the second round. So I got $20. You're a natural. Nicely done. You better keep those wits about you for the next round, though. As the night went on, so did the games. Mr. Horn would jokingly shake his fist when someone other than him got a pair. Kyra acted as a news anchor, reporting on every move everyone made by speaking into her curled fist. Cove was still a few words, but now it was because he was focused on the game instead of being overcome with awkwardness. Most of the time, you even spotted a smile on his lips. He didn't win many of the games, but the others always chipped in for you. In fact, it was always a bit of a fight over who got to be your backer. It became clear that when the money went in, the moment didn't really matter. They ended up giving it back to one another in other ways, and not just through more rounds of cards. You sat back, looking over the scene. A tiny smile grew on your face. Cove's family was pretty cool, you thought. You were glad to have had this chance to come over and spend time with the three of them. How much money did I win? You didn't tell me. Alright. That's the most important thing to me in this step. 0 out of 10, you didn't, our life began in always 0 out of 10, you didn't tell me how much money I won. I'm joking, obviously. I'm joking. If that was too, not obvious for you, if you're stupid. If you're very dumb, if you're stupid in the brain, what time did we do this? 45:13. Honestly, that felt like an hour. Road trip. This is road trip. Road trip. There we go. Even though you were awake, the sun had barely peeked its head above the horizon, and the sun above was still dark, though lightening by the minute. Usually you wouldn't be up so early, especially during summer vacation, but today was different. Today, instead of the lazy days you were used to, everything around you was a flurry of activity as your family and Coves prepared for what laid ahead. Because parked in the street just outside your house was a... What? Because parked in the street just outside your house was a massive RV camper. So big you couldn't even see Cove's house behind. His parents had rented the RV for a few days to take him on a short road trip to see the Redwood National Park. Glanced at Cove, who was standing nearby, taking in the scene in front of him. The prospect of the trip had to be a mixed bag for him, but it was only 3 days, so it seemed he was dealing. I'm sorry. The prospect of the trip had to be a mixed bag for him, but it was only 3 days. so it seemed he was dealing with it as best he could. Especially now that you and your family were joining them. You weren't sure how exactly it had happened. You knew your parents and Cove spoke to each other often, and somewhere along the way, plans were made after Cliff offered to share the space. The parents all thought it was a fantastic idea. You had already gotten a good look inside while helping to load everything in, and you had to admit that while it was a really big car, fitting that many people inside was gonna be snug.
Let's go.
Move it or lose it, kiddo. Mom bustled past with a cooler in one hand and a large bottle of water under the other. She was upbeat for this early in the morning. I'm not a morning person. Ma, however, seemed to be on the other side of the wavelength. She followed behind her wife, dragging her feet on every step. I feel her. I'm gonna need a whole jug of coffee once I hit the road. No. Honestly, I don't even need. Coffee doesn't even wake me up. Coffee doesn't. It just makes me, honestly, calms my anxiety down. That's what it does. That's why I drink coffee, especially during nighttime, because it helps with my anxiety. You could relate to Ma. It was way too early. You yawned and rubbed your eyes, still sleeping from the early morning wake-up call. The air outside was still damp and dew, and that helped make you a bit more alert. I hate waking up early in the morning for a trip. And then at the end of the chain came your sister. She had a bone to pick before the trip officially started. Her rattling off critiques added some level of normalcy to everything new going on. Don't get why I can't sleep in bed tonight. Snow is the youngest, and I never fall asleep in that loft. We're trying to make things fair on everyone. If you want to play the older card, you should be offering to take the loft both nights. It's important for the big siblings to make sacrifices for the younger ones. Elizabeth huffed, not happy with that answer in the slightest, and folded her arms, leaning back against the side of the RV. The trip plans had been nailed down prior, the sleeping arrangements included. Elizabeth still held on to her objections with them. There was a main area in the RV with a couch left, some floor space. At the end of the car was a room with a large bed. Your moms were sharing the bed, Kyra's on the couch, and father and son tended to sleep on the floor. Wait, is Kyra with us? I don't know. The adults determined you and Elizabeth would switch between the small loft above the driver's seat and sharing the bed with moms. It's like, I don't want Cove to sleep on the floor. You're fine. Not a big deal. Much control over it. As long as you had a place to rest your head and some description, it didn't bother you. Alright, you lot. Does everyone have everything they need? We're heading out in 5 minutes. That's the time to double check. You don't want to forget something important. At the word, Elizabeth yelped and dashed back into the house, her bedhead hair bouncing beneath her as she went. Ma came over and gave you a smile, setting her hands on her hips. But you, Snow. You have all your clothes packed, toiletries, deodorant, floss, anything else you could think of? I probably have forgot something, too. Whee! Sprinting up the stairs to the bathroom, grabbed your toothbrush from beside the sink before heading back down. You were glad you were minded to grab it before having left it out to use this morning. It would have been embarrassing if you couldn't brush your teeth for the next few days. Your mom was still there, waiting with a knowing expression as you walked out again. Got everything, Snow? Yeah. With a few minutes left to spare before leaving, you mentally went over what you had packed for the trip. Clothes, pillow and blanket, usual day-to-day gear for most people. You also had more personal things, such as... okay. Portable game console. As a kid, I would have that. The drive to the Redwood National Park would take an entire day one way, so you want to make sure you had a way to entertain yourself while traveling there and back. Oh. Stuffed animal. Without fail, it made you feel more comfortable whenever you went somewhere new. It was like taking a little piece of home away with you. MP3. With so much time going to be spent driving in a car, you want to make sure you were able to put some music on. And I think that's all. Let's actually add the camera. It was just a little pocket camera you had gotten from your mom's, but you couldn't miss the opportunity to take some new snaps. And that was everything. Oh, there we go. Oh, Kyra's here, okay. I didn't even hear anything about Kyra, so I was confused. Or maybe I just skipped it, or don't remember. Hey, let me take that for you, Snow. I'll stow it in the RV. There's a few spots left. It'll fit. You let Kyra take your bag, and she gave a grateful smile. With nothing left to do, you watch the others get ready for the trip. Kyra and Cliff seemed to have the most energy of everyone. They were finishing packing the suitcases away while your moms had gone to lock up the house. They high-fived whenever another one got crammed into the storage compartment of the vehicle. Even though your own parents were more low-key than Cove's, you could tell that they were both excited for the trip. It had been a while since your family had been away anywhere together. Elizabeth skipped towards the RV, a bag slung over her shoulder, and you were surprised to see she seemed more optimistic about the whole ordeal now. Usually she wasn't one to exit the confines of her room unless it was for TV or food, or to leave her family behind to be with friends. Sorry, there's a dog at my door begging to be let in. I know, you're scratching at the door. Okay. Are you okay, Pebbles? Are you okay? Yes, I don't think there's lightning, so don't know why she would. Kaya, Pebbles. Usually, oh yeah, sorry about that. You would have thought 3 whole days packed in an RV with 6 others would be far too much for her, but it was a nice surprise. You suppose any vacation was better than no vacation in her mind. Cove had been pretty quiet so far, more than anything. Seemed to be overwhelmed by the situation. Eager to get to the destination. You've been looking up the park online and couldn't wait to explore everything it had to offer. Soon the miscellaneous remaining tasks had to be wrapped up. Ooh. I don't remember the inside of the RV. Was there ever an inside image? I swear, I don't remember a lot. Everyone piled into the RV. It was officially time for the trip to start. And it did. Cliff took the first shift driving. He cautiously navigated the massive car out of the narrow neighborhood streets. It was touch and go for the first part of the journey. Your moms and Kyra were all huddled to the front, trying to get a view of how much space they had on each side. There was a sense of relief when the first long leg of the trip was hit, and the RV would only need to go down one stretch of highway for for Miles. Hold on, I want to check something quick. Make sure someone is okay. Hello, I am back. Sorry about that. You've had the music, I have it. There was a sense of relief when the first long leg of the trip was hit. The RV would only need to go down one stretch of highway for miles. The mom group cleared out of the driver's area, leaving Cove's dad to it, taking more comfortable seats around the main cabin. You felt like you could finally relax too. Time slipped by as morning faded away. Before you realized it, the engine of the RV came to a stop, but only halted for a few moments as Cliff climbed out of the driver's seat and Mom took over. Ma was sitting shotgun, giving Mom a quick tutorial on the controls, as it was her first time driving anything this large. Cliff groaned as he headed towards the rest of you, stretching his arms above his head and loosening his muscles. There we go. We're making good progress. Yeah, maybe we should take a nap in the back for a while. There's a long car you just did, and I know you're on less sleep than usual. Cliff waved a hand, that trademark grin of his slipping into place.
Nah.
I don't need sleep. I've got a few miles in the old pink. He flexed an arm, showing off his muscles to drive the point about how resilient he was home. And Kyra rolled her eyes in amusement. Dad, everyone has to sleep. Dad shook his head at the tough guy act. Cove shook his head at the tough guy act, though Cliff simply chuckled and ruffled his son's hair.
So?
Are you gonna be driving again sometime soon, Mr. Horn? I want to know so I can prepare. You're a horrible driver. Did anyone pack some rope? I need it. There's no seatbelts up here. Oh, Oh, that hurt. Elizabeth called down from where she was lounging in the loft above the driving compartment. She was laying on her back, her hair falling over to the side, swaying around as the RV started up again and took off down the road. A bag of potato chips was balanced on Elizabeth's stomach, and she tossed a couple in her mouth right as Cliff held a hand to his chest, pretending to be offended by the remark. Kyra laughed lightheartedly.
Don't worry about that.
Luckily for all of us, we have enough dolts to cover the shift today. You won't be driving again until tomorrow. That's a relief. What is this one? It's not his driving I'm worried about. Is it hers? Ooh. Let's not forget how many times Mom has put a dent in our car. That was only twice, and neither of those times was my fault. Thank you very much. Okay, I wanna actually bully him. Just enough time to write up my last will and testament. Ooh, not you too. Should I do that? We shouldn't gang up on the poor guy. Thank you, at least someone here is on my side. Alright. No, we're gonna bully him. He kinda deserves it. Not you too. The rest of the group laughed while Cliff pouted, and he gave him an apologetic shrug. Mom then shouted in the back of her seat, a playful smile tilting her lips. I'm worried about this old monster getting us there and back again before falling apart. It looks as though it was built in the early 90s. Must be older than some of the occupants. And it's just the aesthetic of the decor. It's not that old, I think. Did you ask what year the model was before you rented it? Kyra wrinkled her nose in thought.
Hey!
Yes, I did. I just can't remember what the answer was. Yeah. Cliff chuckled at her while the rest of you let out a collective sigh. The RV lurched a little as it picked up speed, and you both held onto the ladder to the left to keep your balance. You felt something graze the top of your head before a weight settled on your black hair. When you tilted your chin up carefully to look, you heard the rustling of the bag and realized Elizabeth had rested the end of it on your head. She gestured to the opening, sadly offering to share her snack. Whatever, I'll take a handful. Reaching up, you scoop up a few chips. After that, the weight of the chip packet left your scalp. You happily munched away as the conversation continued, and you got closer and closer to your destination. The day flew by, and the group of you chatting, playing games, and passing the time together before finally arriving at the park and setting up for the night. Mom was closing the windows while everyone got ready for bed, saying goodnight to the others as she made her way back to the back room. You all had dinner together while still driving, and some hours after had arrived at your destination and found a spot to park in for the rest of your stay. Sorry. Giving a look across the front of the RV, you noticed almost everyone there was already dozing off where they were, with Cove having completely fallen asleep, curled up in the passenger seat. He must have done so while Kyra was driving the last leg, and they had decided not to disturb him. Was he asleep? Sorry. When you stream, you're kind of doing a lot of other things. So, like, because my brain's like, okay, did I do this thing? Did I do that thing? Did Did I make sure to have my audio on? Yes. Is everything working? Yes. Oh, wait. I forgot to do this. See? This is why I need to think this stuff. And like, is the audio doing good? That's my priority with things, since I'm a musician and I deal with sound a lot. I'm thinking, is things leveled out well? And it is. Which is good. Huh, that would be fun. But I don't think side chaining is a thing in OBS. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about audio stuff. Let me just close this so I don't have to think about it anymore. Kyra herself was the only one up there who was still awake, flipping through a magazine next to the portable light from her spot on the couch. It seemed like Mr. Hoyne needed to sleep despite his claims. Also, side chaining would be very weird because it would sound weird. Sorry, I need to shut up. You followed your moms into the back room and closed the door behind you before crawling onto the bed between them. It was a queen-size bed, and there was enough space for the three of you together without too much squishing.
Good night.
Get a good rest, Snow. We've got a big day ahead of us.
That's fantastic.
I'm looking forward to the bush walk in the morning. It's been a long time since I was out in nature like this. There'll be plenty for us to see. You stayed awake for a little while longer while your moms whispered about the park and the forest in general. With the sound of the voices in the background, eventually you nodded off to sleep. So I'm speaking too fast. The next morning, you were up bright and early, preparing for the day ahead. You had an okay, you slept terribly. There hadn't been room enough for you to, I've never even done this before. There hadn't been enough room for you to spread out and readjust your position. The mattress was uncomfortable, and it became hot with the two other people next to you. Ma whined a bit about the firmness of the mattress, but Mom had only encouraged her to enjoy the trip while she could. While looking for a spot to get ready, you had some trouble finding a space of your own, as the others were doing the same thing. Cove was perched on top of the counter, brushing his hair and tucking up his legs every time someone wanted to move past. The parents were checking, double-checking, triple-checking that you had everything, to the point where you had to stop listening to them altogether. You knew you wouldn't be returning to the RV at all that day, but by the look of the backpacks that were packed up and ready to go, you doubted anything was missing from them. That's why I remember a different look of the forest. Did they change a lot of backgrounds? That's why I remember a different look. It didn't take much longer until you all exited the RV in a bustle and headed into the Redwood National Park.
Wow.
Wow. Cove had his head tilted towards the canopy of trees, his eyes wide as he took in the massive trunks on either side of you. You knew that the redwood trees here were considered the tallest trees on Earth, but you weren't prepared for exactly how huge they would be in person.
Come on.
Smile, you two. You spun just in time for Kyra to snap a picture of you and Cove together before she pointed her camera at Cliff, trying to get a shot despite his weak protest that she should just enjoy the moment. Oh, he looks sad at the end. Your parents were walking behind the group a little, with Mom telling Ma some information she had read about the park in a brochure. Ma listened happily while looking around and taking in the sights every now and then asking a question or making a joke about something Mom had said. You smiled at them, thinking your mom must have read a lot of pamphlets to know so much about the park. Maybe you should come and work here as a tour guide, if you know so much about the place. Elizabeth teased, earning a squeeze on the nose from your mom. She seemed to be enjoying herself, but you thought that might just be because she was amused by everyone else's reactions. You were in awe. Surrounding you on either side, the enormous trees shot up into the dark, the sunlight peeking through their canopy and speckling the path in front of you. The sheer size of the redwoods made you feel like a tiny ant bustling along through the forest. The adults had decided on some casual nature walks, rather than any serious hiking, and you strolled along at your own pace, taking in the scenery. Okay. Elizabeth sped up a little, smirking at Cove as she fell into place between the two of you, and immediately you could tell by her expression she was going to say something taunting. I can't believe our families are actually going on vacation together. She threw her arms out, speaking with a genuine sense of bewilderment. I would have joked about something like this happening, but now I'm not sure I want to give them any more ideas. Cove smiled at her, even if it was a little awkward, then continued walking along. Just walk. What? Just watch. Next year they'll be talking about their next new amazing idea. She put on a fake voice deeper than her own. We should just sell both of our houses and move in together. Think of how much we'd save on the mortgage. Idea. It was clear that Elizabeth was being sarcastic, but Cove simply shook his head, not really bothered by her. You suppose he was used to it by this point. But seriously, they really do act like we're a single family just because we live across the street from each other. Elizabeth gave you and Cove a look, her eyes glinting with mischief as she leered at you. Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh god. No. One day we'll be related legally anyway. Oh. Come on, screw you. She said it as though she was a gossipy old lady. But she almost immediately dropped the tone and nonchalantly said her real thoughts. At least, that's what Ma thinks. Cove still blushed, which made Elizabeth smile triumphantly, as though that was her whole purpose for teasing him. Yeah, I know. Everybody likes teasing Cove, because he's easy to make blush. Then he mumbled quietly, refusing to make eye contact with either of them. Ooh, I don't know why you think you're so funny when no one else does. Ooh, 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 oh, wow, 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 wow. It's like, I get to do that to Cove, not you. Honestly, that's what I want to say. I want that choice. It's like, hey, I get to embarrass Cove, not you. It's like, screw off, fuck off. Fine. There you go. Sorry, I had to fix something. I'll marry you, Cove. Well, guess what? We have the wedding DLC, so yeah. He looked at you in disbelief. He genuinely could not believe this is where the conversation had gone. I expect you to give me an answer sooner or later. He frowned and reddened harder, but pretended to ignore what you were saying. Your sister noticed what was happening. Good, he isn't going to engage with this topic. Oh, screw you. Screw you. He groaned at the continued teasing and increased the speed of his walk. The day continued on, with plenty to see and experience. You passed a few different activities that you would have liked to try out. If you had the time, such as kayaking and rock climbing, but Maz said that would have to wait for another trip. There was a little steam during the walk that you sat beside and set out a picnic for lunch, nibbling on the selection of fruit, sandwiches, and chips. Various birds flew overhead, and you made a game out of guessing which species that they were hanging out in the trees nearby. You managed to get a couple of them right, including the kingfisher that grabbed half of Cliff's sandwich. I love that. You deserve that, Cliff. Alright. You're glad you got to do this in the end. It was definitely an experience. A special experience, and one you'd remember for a long time to come. You smiled at yourself, committing the sights and sounds to memory. Your group made it back to camp, just as the sun was setting in the sky, and the stars were appearing one by one. Everyone had enjoyed different parts of it most. You traded stories of what you thought while you were eating dinner. Then afterwards, you pitched in to help clean up. You, along with Elizabeth and Cove, got to head back to the RV early and spend some time together while parents stayed outside longer. It was nice to have a space to yourself after the cramped journey there, and while Elizabeth had locked herself in the back room with her headphones, you and Cove were left in the main lounge area. Hung out with Cove. Well, let's take a load off while we got some time. You took a seat on the sofa while Cove sat on the other end, tapping his fingers against his knees. Your cheeks warmed a little at that. Being close to him never failed to feel exciting. You'd seen Cove nearly every day for the past 5 years, but seeing him in a jacket was still somewhat unusual. In Southern California, he could get away with that. It was a simple difference from his normal style. Yeah, you couldn't help notice the way he was looking. He looked right now. Looked right on him. In fact, Cove always looked nice. When Cove cleared his throat, your eyes snapped to his. He had an eyebrow raised and had clearly caught you staring at him.
What?
Is everything okay? We're always gonna tease him. He just looks so good right now. Blush. I cast blush and then... I feel like that'd be funny just to do like with around like someone you know has a crush on you and you have a crush on them. And you just say, I cast blush. I think you're really cute. And then you see them blush. Cove immediately blushed at the unexpected compliment. What? He didn't say anything more than that one word question. He decided to elaborate further. I know I hardly ever see you wearing a jacket, especially in summer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like wearing as few layers as possible. It's easier that way. I'd rather being cold than extra hot. It's kind of a pain to carry extra clothes around. My parents made me bring this jacket. I like wearing layers. There's something about a lot of layers that makes me feel all snug and comfortable. Yeah, like I will I will wear a jacket around during summer because I just like something on me. Cove smiled lightly at you and nodded. I've noticed. He perked up hearing that he noticed you too. Oh my goodness. I forgot this was a thing. You asked him what he liked to see others wear. That sounds so weird. That sounds so weird. Sure. So what kind of clothes or accessories do you like to see on somebody? Oh, I remember something other than you. I remember something. I remember what he likes. I can't believe I forgot about what he likes to see, and then immediately seeing this. Did I hear something? I hear a voice? Oh no. Anyway. I remembered a thing he likes seeing on someone. I completely forgot. Until now, when this is brought up. A knee, and what is it called? Ankle bracelet thing? I forgot. But basically, necklace bracelet around, like, above your foot or something like that. I forgot what it's called. He'll say it. What type of accessories or clothes do you like to see on somebody other than you? Cove's eyes widen at the question, and his defensive reply seemed to slip out before he even had the chance to properly think about it. Nothing. That was funny. Oh, really? Nothing. A snort of laughter escaped you, and even though Cove's face flushed red, you could see the hint of a smile on his lips too. Come on, that's not what I meant. It's like, oh, nothing, huh? I was like, no, I didn't mean that. I was like, I don't have a specific thing. Traces of laughter disappearing from your face. You compose yourself and stand up straighter. Answer with what you do mean, then. Isn't there anything at all you think looks good when you see it on someone? Cove mumbled under his breath, and you couldn't quite catch the words. He was having a difficult time with the subject. I swear I won't make fun of you if you're thinking something like that. That's not really it. Cove seemed pretty grumpy about your statement, but you weren't ready to give up so easily. Please. Cove sighed, looked down on his lap, and where he was fidgeting with his hands, still reluctant to give an answer.
I don't know.
You made an unimpressed sound over how this was going. Are you sure? Fine, I guess. Ankle bracelets, yeah. Okay, that's what it's called, ankle bracelets. Fine, I guess. I kind of like ankle bracelets. Oh, ankle bracelets? Yeah, everyone can wear a pretty bracelet. Wrist ones are cool too, but they're pretty normal. There's something fun or flirty about ankle bracelets.
I mean...
It's more special or something. I don't know how to explain it. Cove brushed his knuckles against his cheeks awkwardly, seemingly unsure from where to go from here. I'm not doing that. It's for answering.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. When he said nothing else, you took a moment to gather your own thoughts. You need to get an anklet on ASAP. You needed to see how Cove would react to that. Cove looked away again, feeling awkward about this. It gave him an understanding look, and usually he would start smiling like normal again, but not this time. His expression only stiffened more. You're surprised to see him like this, as he only bounced back pretty quickly after being flustered. Cove? Still, he wouldn't look at you, and now even his breathing was growing tense. It began to click. He was trying to build himself up enough to say something hard for him. You waited for it silently. Until then, he peeked your way through the corners of his eyes. You were fully attentive by this point, or whatever he was gonna mention next. Oh.
That's,
Yeah, because I chose purple eyes for my character. Okay. Damn it, Cove. God damn it. God fucking damn it. Alright. People having purple eyes, that's something I like. Huh? For a moment, you were stunned and at a complete loss for words. That was definitely not where you were imagining this was going. A Cove faced you head on, his expression full of desperate meaning. You got a distinct impression that he hadn't chosen that just because he liked the color blue. Purple. He chose it entirely because it was your eye color. Was he trying to flirt with you? That's all you could think. Your legs felt like jelly and you wondered if you might fall right off the couch. What do you like for your person, Snow? Oh, everything about you. Anyway. Cove went still, his eyes widening in surprise. It was definitely a lot for him to hear, and you couldn't help yourself. It was the truth. You adored him. And now you were both flirting with each other. He placed his hands on his lap and looked down. It seemed he hadn't expected to get this far and didn't know where to go from here. With that, the topic abruptly dropped off. Cove officially had no more to say on it. The parents all soon arrived after, each of them climbing into the RV and finding some place to sit down and rest their legs. Elizabeth, having heard the commotion, came out from the room for the first time since arriving and joined you all. You spent the evening chatting and playing a few games, enjoying the last evening of the trip together. Bedtime arrived within the blink of an eye as the group hunkered down for the night. Your mom did a final round to be sure nothing had been left behind. She explained that Cliff was going to start driving early in the morning, like on the first day, but would be letting everyone else in the group sleep. There wouldn't be a need for all of them to get up. Now was the time to check. You hadn't left anything outside. You, as well as everyone else, were confident you had it all packed up inside the RV, which meant it was time to get some rest before the journey home tomorrow. Your moms and Elizabeth said goodnight, heading to the back room while you climbed up to the loft. Cove and his family got situated below in the previous set arrangement. You tried to get comfortable as a million thoughts were running through your mind. It was hard to believe that the trip was practically over, and before you knew it, you would be back in your own bed at home. You enjoyed this mini adventure. It was short, that was for sure, but you got to see and do so much during your time there. All in all, it was a nice break from home. The minutes trickled by silently. It didn't take long for the soft snores of Cliff and Kyra to drift up to you. They were asleep now. You wondered if Cove was still awake and decided to poke your head out from the loft to find out. You blinked through the dark. Looking down the hall, you noticed Cove laying on his back, his eyes staring straight up at the ceiling. His seafoam hair was spread out on his sleeping bag. He must have felt you watching him, because suddenly his eyes locked on yours. It was difficult to see much in the dim light, but you could make out a crooked smile on his face well enough. You grinned back at him. Have I done all these? Yes, I have. You grinned back at him. Cove shrugged in his bed while still smiling, or at least you thought he did. And you gestured for him to come over. Cove looked unsure about it, but you were happy to see him start to sit up anyway. His sleeping bag rustled as he moved, though he tried to go slow, and froze up like a deer in headlights every time he made a sound, watching his parents for any sign of movement. Eventually, he managed to maneuver around his sleeping dad and make it to the ladder, standing on the bottom rung, where he looked up at you and whispered, "What?" You invited him up to the loft. "You want to come up?" His eyes widened, just so. You could only tell because he had come to where you were. Cove glanced behind him quickly as his sleeping parents before turning back to you. Okay. You broke into a grin and scooched back as far as you could, making space for Cove to crawl in. He was very tall, so it wasn't a great fit for him, but he managed to squeeze himself in. Oh wait! I remember something. Sorry, I need to calm down. I'm so sorry. Luckily, you were short enough to leave him with some room. I think I remember it. You laid down next to each other on your sides, face to face. He got under the blanket a bit. One of his arms was nestled under his head for comfort. The other had nowhere to go and was rested alongside his chest on the floor of the loft. Cove spoke to you softly. I remember something. I think I remember you could do something here. So, what am I doing here? Sleep here instead of the floor. Cove raised an eyebrow, not having expected you to bring that up now. I'm not sure about this. Cove swallowed loudly, and you noticed he wouldn't look you in the eyes anymore. Comfortable being so close to him. It seemed natural to have him near you, and being close like this only made it better. You thought back to earlier in the evening when you and Cove had been talking alone on the sofa. He had definitely been flirting then, and now you were here. Something I remember? You nudged closer to him. I think this is it, right? You nudged towards Cove slowly, your legs pressing together in a very limited space. Cove's face flushed dark enough to notice even in the almost pitch black RV cabin. The hand resting in front of him tightened, balling into a fist. Are you okay? You seem tense.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I mean, I'm not dying or anything. Cove's eyebrows bent up nervously, but his smile widened. He followed your lead, curling himself deeper into the loft. And closer to you, he looked away as he did it. There was almost no space left between you and him. Cove's breath tickled the side of your face. For a moment, you stayed together like that. Neither of you spoke a word. When your eyes locked again, Cove seemed almost taken aback by the situation, as though it hadn't completely hit him what it was going to feel like to do this until just now. It opened its mouth to say something, but shut it tight before saying anything came out. Yes, no, I do remember it. Okay. Leaned in to kiss him. I completely forgot about this. What happens if you do this first and the other moments after? Or maybe not. I feel like a lot of it is different. Like, a lot of, like, the moments are meant to be, like, separate and, like, not acknowledging any other. That's usually how the moments in our life is. You moved in even closer, your eyes half closed as your lips touched towards his so slowly. Cove froze immediately. You could feel his body trembling against you as you neared. You grew close enough to be one motion away from placing your lips together. Then all of a sudden, he pulled upright, completely forgetting the restrictions of the location and smacking his head against the roof of the RV with a loud crack, making you gasp aloud. Ow! Cove, are you okay? Cove didn't answer. He fell back onto the left with a flustered pile. He pressed one hand against his head and the other over his face as he groaned in pain. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I forgot. I remember a scene where you do successfully kiss him. Or do I remember that? Or is it just fake? My brain just making stuff up. The sound of movements in the RV slowly startled you. And when you looked over the side, you noticed Cliff had similarly shot up and was looking around wildly.
What's wrong?
Wake up, people, something happened. No, you bitch. Cliff, I'm going to kill you. Alright, Cliff reached over to where Kyra was on the couch and she whined as she shook her out of a deep sleep enough not to be interrupted by the chaos. What's going on? Oh, Cliff, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to find where you live and murder you. I'm going to Sarah the California. Okay. And then the lights came on. You scrambled under the blanket to avoid being seen, but it was too late.
What?
Cove, where are you? Snow, are you? Oh. It took only a second for Kyra to figure out where her son had gone, and you soon heard Cliff's chuckle as he too realized. You were warned there wasn't much room up there, bud. Cove groaned terribly again, but this time it was out of humiliation. He moved the hand from his scalp to cover his shame rather than face his parents. Okay, so that was more like a punishment for us because we embarrassed Cove.
Hey!
What's with all the noise out here? Oh no, not Elizabeth. Oh no, not the moms. To your horror, the door at the back of the RV opened and Elizabeth, as well as your moms, peeked their heads out into the hall. Is everything okay?
Sorry.
It's nothing, sorry for waking you up. Pope curled into himself, completely humiliated as he apologized a couple of times. Not enough for anyone other than you to hear, though. Oh. Try to check on him. You should let someone check your head. That was bad. With another whimper, Cove pushed himself onto his side, probably. Kyra casually came over to the edge of the loft. She patted her son on the back. Come to mama, baby. You can't stay there. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it was embarrassing for him. There was no putting it off. Cove climbed down the ladder, his face still red as a tomato, when he reached the bottom. His dad gave him a nudge on the shoulder as he passed, trying to hold back renewed laughter. And his mom pulled him over to give his head a quick look over. After announcing it wasn't anything more serious than a bump, Cove shuffled over to his sleeping bag on the ground. He collapsed into it, not caring if he should be more cautious with his head right now.
Sure.
Alright, show's over. Let's get some sleep. You could hear the snickers from the back of the RV as your moms and Elizabeth. They really had been watching this unfold like a piece of entertainment. Oh no. But they quickly said goodnight and headed to bed. With nothing more you could do, you laid back down as the lights went off again. You stayed there completely still until sleep finally overtook you. When you woke up the next morning, it was a rumble of the RV as it traveled the long journey home. Blinking the sleep from your eyes, you peeked over the edge of the loft, slowly trying not to be seen. Cove was sitting on the couch with his mom, the two of them talking quietly together, his head hung low. You blushed when you remembered what it was like last night. Just the two of you in the loft together, the way you almost kissed. Kyra suddenly looked up and caught your eye. Your face grew even more hotter, though she simply smiled at you. He knew it was gonna it was gonna be a long, long time before either of you lived this down, if you ever did. Soon your moms and Elizabeth emerged from their rooms, dressed and ready for the day of travel. You spent most of the day hanging out together in the RV, savoring the last few hours of vacation. Kyra suggests a few different travel games she used to play with Cove when she was younger. When he was younger. And you all had a great time competing against each other. A little later in the day, you tried to talk to Cove about what happened. Indy laughed, but he simply apologized and changed the subject, okay? It's a bit too much for him to try speaking on, especially right now, you understood. When the RV finally pulled onto your street, it was well into the night, and you were looking forward to crawling into your own bed after the last few days away. Everyone else must have been feeling the same, because it was mutually agreed that unpacking and cleaning the RV would wait until morning. Once home again, you straightened up to your room and dropped onto your bed, shoes and all. You missed being near Cove. The two of you had basically been living together for 3 days. It was nice, but you knew it wouldn't be the last time the two of you would spend time together, and that thought comforted you. With the last few thoughts drifting through your mind, it wasn't long before you dozed off to sleep. Tomorrow life would go on like normal. That was the end of step 2. I need to go to the restroom, and then we'll continue with the epilogue. Ooh, 150. Break. I'll be right back. See ya. I'm back. Here we go. This is the epilogue. Epilogue, right? Sure. There's no denying it. Fine. There's no denying it. Today was the very last day of summer. Tomorrow you would hang to class. It was a bummer. Summer had been so much fun. When you thought about going back to school, it was with a sense of loss. Soon you wouldn't be able to choose how your days were spent without the school bell telling you where to be and when. It was with a heavy heart that you chose your outfit for the final day of freedom. Life was going to be different, and you come to think of the summer vacation as the norm. But school sucked up the majority of the year, whereas the summer vacation was just the respite in the middle. So, rather than it being different, it was kind of a return to the normal. What did your normal life really mean? Considering how fondly your moms talked about the summer vacation as kids, you dimly recognized that one year the pattern of school and summer itself would be over for good. It was hard to imagine. You got distracted, one arm still out of a sleeve. You pulled it through and put your mind back to the present. This season had brought about plenty of changes of its own. Like Kyra's visit, though that too was coming to an end today. We were happy to finally get a chance to know. She was interesting to be around. You liked how easy it was to talk to her. You finished dressing, which was good. Cove would be there any moment. You agreed to see his mom off together. Officially, the plan was that he would come over to bring you round to his house when she was ready to set off, but you both knew that you'd both be hanging out for at least a little while beforehand. Kyra's visit had troubled Cove when it first happened. It had been a sudden change thanks to Mr. Holden's infamous tendency to surprise people. But once he was able to adjust, he'd be in pretty good spirits with her around. It was a relief to everyone. You turned to your desk, where a box containing your accessories resided. I forgot! I guess this is more like special, I guess. Your eyes bore into the box. Did you wear any for Cove's visit today? Alright, you decided to wear several anklets. I don't think I ever did this. No, I did. I have. Your heart pounded as you adorned anklet after anklet. You had to make sure he noticed. And now there was no way that Cove wouldn't miss it. People from the East Coast would be able to hear you jingling. The next thought that crossed your mind was... I guess wait for him here. You made yourself comfortable on your bed. This is where you'd be hanging out. So there wasn't much point in going downstairs just to come straight back up again. It wouldn't be the first, and probably wouldn't be the last time that Cove brought himself up to your room without you taking him there. A knock at the door brought you from the idle daydream you'd been having about endless summers. You recognized the sound immediately, different from the cheery tune Ma rapped out whenever she wanted your attention, or Mom's direct beats. And Elizabeth tended to skip knocking it completely. Those knocks were just hard enough to be heard, and uncommonly long pauses in between. They were Cove's. Come in. There he is. Cove opened the door, smiling casually as he caught your eye.
Hey.
Hi, Snow. Looks like you found my secret base. Might want to work on the secret part. He stepped further into the room. With other guests, you might have offered them a seat, but you and Cove were long past those tentative stages of friendship. Your room was as familiar to him as his own. Forgot when he does. I feel like I remember outside when he noticed the anklet. Or was that step 3 maybe? I don't remember. You watched as Cove sat down in your desk chair, his preferred spot. He rolled it closer to the bed to make it easier to chat, tweaking the angle so that he was facing you fully. Once happy with the position, he leaned in towards you, his hands held in his lap. His actions weren't the one of someone who planned on moving from his own spot anytime soon, even though you had an appointment to keep together that day. When is your mom leaving?
Don't worry about it.
We've got some time. She's still got a shower and stuff before she goes. She didn't want me to keep hanging around while she was doing that. He lifted his head, his gaze drifting out through the door, and chuckled. I can't believe she's already leaving, just when I'm getting used to her being there every day. He leaned back in the chair, wry smile tickling his cheeks. I don't know what to say. He shook his head, as if shaking off the topic like a dog, whipping off water, following a dip in the sea. I'm waiting for the anklet. I don't know. Oh, there we go. Is this it? Cove looked back at you, lips part as if he was about to speak, but instead his eyes widened and his mouth closed into a tiny frown. Something has caught his attention. Several somethings, to be accurate. It was a wonder that he hadn't heard or spotted them sooner. He cast his eyes back to your face and then down to your ankle and back to your face. He repeated the process once, twice more, as if struggling to hold the two items in tandem. He was weighing up whether this could be a coincidence or not. If so, you weren't sure how much clearer you could be while still being able to lift your feet. Or maybe he was just too shy to verbalize his thoughts. Or was still trying to find the words. And this was the most he could manage. The tension made you feel... pleased? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't really feel any kind of way. I'm just laughing at this game. What is this? HCWI023G. What the hell is that? I don't even know. The whole plan was for him to see you in it, and you succeeded. While his attention was still divided between your ankle and your face was totally on you. On his next glance back to this, Cove saw your expression had shifted. You watched as his bewilderment eroded into mortification as he realized that he'd been caught staring. He quickly spun the chair to face the wall instead, allowing you to glimpse the flush that spread all the way to his ears. He twisted in his seat, wrinkling his hands and determinedly avoiding looking in your direction again. It seemed that he decided against saying anything at all. Alright, sorry. This is so goddamn weird. Doesn't look good. Cove mumbled something unintelligible as he slumped lower. With how he was hunched over, the quiet words had no chance of reaching you. You weren't going to get anything out of him in this day. You waited for him to come around before speaking again. Finally, he piped up very softly.
That's,
Did you do it? Because I said what I said before. I mean, you know, the last few words were whispered as though they were a precious secret. The ankle bracelet. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's just be plain and simple. Yes. His eyes squeezed shut. You had no idea if the answer made him feel better or more nervous. Shit. Okay, I don't think the voice is gonna... Is a voice? Voice selfing disabled? I don't know. It does take a bit. He eventually looked down at his lap, where his fingers were flexing and curling in an awkward dance of nerves.
Self-voicing disabled.
Fuck you. Sorry. He eventually looked down at his lap, where his fingers were flexing and curling in an awkward dance of nerves. His chest rose as he breathed deeply. Well, it looks good on you. Your heart skittered in your chest like a stone skipping across water. One big leap from the unexpected compliment, followed by a series of shorter ones as you absorbed the words. You beamed at him. He was looking at you again, at last. And you returned the smile shyly. This really couldn't have worked out better, you thought. There was nothing else he could add after. Cove's posture teetered, his eyelids blinking quickly. Snow, actually kind of wanted to talk about... He drew a deep breath before concluding the sentence. Wait, is this where I'm thinking about the kiss?
I mean...
Yeah, I think, like, you have to do certain things in order to actually get a kiss. You have to be really flirty. You have to really actually do the kiss and stuff on the trip, especially with the ankle stuff too. Or I think there's some other things. I don't know. I don't remember what happened on the trip. His voice shook as he pushed the words out. Your eyes grew. At the reaction, Cove pulled his arms around his chest, his shoulders hunching inwards. You knew what he was implying back when you been in the loft and nearly kissed. Cove hadn't breathed a word about it since it happened. Or, well, almost happened.
I'm sorry.
Aw. I'm sorry for moving away like that when you tried to. He dropped the sentence. You didn't push him to finish, and I conveyed what it needed. And I'm sorry for how I've been since, you know, I didn't like it to even happen. I've thought about it. I mean, I hadn't forgotten about it. I don't keep thinking about it all the time. He hung his red-cheeked head, forehead propping up by a couple of fingers. You could tell he was already regretting how this was going.
Sorry.
I'm sorry for being weird. It's just, I kind of thought or hoped that sometime I'd be able to do this with me talking about everything. Everything, there's more? He nodded ever so slightly. Your face felt a lot hotter after that. Cove brined a little at your positive reaction. And his explanation continued. Well, I just could sort of picture how it might go. What it'd be like to be with you again. But that's just the first part. I couldn't imagine anything that come after it. And now that it's actually happened, we're there, it's... He took another deep breath, stuttering on the exhale.
That's,
This makes things different. Things don't have to be different. This is hard for me. I guess this. He gave you a wan smile. Thanks, but I don't think that'll work. I can't just... Okay, I definitely can't.
that's,
I don't know. Should we find a crystal ball for answers? I don't think we'd see anything. Do you have no faith in us? Oh, what the hell? What, when did that come out? I don't even know. That isn't what I meant. It's just, I can't really show the future. They're just glass. You were happy to see him being livelier. His wide eyes met yours as he looked at you, less burdened from the anxiety that had built inside of him. Yes, this is what I remember. Want a do-over. How about a do-over? No! The words shot out reflexively. He couldn't help it, but immediately cringed at himself. Do you really mean that? No. I mean, I do want to. I want to try again if you still want to. He kissed him. Yeah, I remember this. You untangled yourself from your resting position and stood up. Realizing your intent to actually go for it, Cove strained up in the chair, his hands coiled together in his lap. As you moved towards him, you noticed his knees knocking together as he trembled. His decision not to rise from the chair made perfect sense. If he was that shaky while sitting down, there was no way he'd manage to stand without at least one of you falling over. Your legs brushed against his quivering ones. As you came to a stop in front of him, Cove was staring up at you. As you leaned in towards him, he echoed the motion and drew in towards you. Once you were close enough to feel Cove's breath on your face, you closed your eyes. The last thing you saw was Cove quickly doing the same. Ah, yes. Your lips met with Cove's for a moment. His lips were pressed tightly together, unyielding, but it was alright. My nose, sorry. And he was kissing you. You were kissing him and he was kissing you. I can't read. Screw you. Screw you. Listener, watcher, viewer, whatever your name is. Your name's Bob. Every person who watches me is named Bob. Your stomach somersaulted. You couldn't believe this was really happening. In that moment, it felt warm, and it felt nice, and it felt right. He drew back, and Cove slipped down into the chair, the knuckles of his hands pale after gripping so tightly. Thinking that he could do with some space to breathe, figuratively and literally, you took a step back. Cove shut up, his stance rigid. Oh yes, no, this is what I remember. I remember this. I couldn't remember exactly what the CG was, but this is what it was. Him just blushing with his hand over his face. Cove plastered a hand over his mouth, his eyes shut tight. His back then became bowed, shrinking him down. It could only just make out a few words he managed to summon.
Oh my god, oh my god!
Oh! Okay. I can't believe we actually... His eyes flew open. But he didn't look your way, let alone meet your gaze.
Oh my god!
We kissed. Full of nerves. Blinking, you tried to process what had happened. You laid a hand on your cheek, half wondering about pinching yourself to check this wasn't a dream. You found your skin as hot as a car door at noon on a summer's day. Cove only slammed his eyes closed once again. Oh, this is so weird. Did you like it? Maybe. I don't know what a good answer is. He was still holding the hand to his face, but in an attempt to answer, he emitted a muffled whimper. With that obviously not working, he uncovered his face at last, bringing the hand to lay against his chest and looked at you. Yeah. He opened his mouth, poised to speak, and pursed his lips as words flailed him. On his third and fourth attempt, you heard what he had to say. I did like it. I'm glad that We know. You know. He swallowed, seemingly not able to speak the actual word. Like, that we what? You know? I have no idea. Snow. I really wonder what you're talking about. Could you, put in words, I really don't know the words that you want to speak. Like, come on, you know what I mean? I don't really know. Could you speak more? Anyway, you grinned, thrilled that the experience had been a welcome one. The smile on Ko's face was real but wary, not unlike the one he wore after a long study session. Like when he'd mastered something that had previously evaded him. The work had been hard, but the reward had been worth it. With some newfound confidence, he drew himself up as he inhaled deeply. Each word he spoke next was deliberate. There you go. Snow, I like you. A lot, probably way too much. He ducked his head bashfully and opened an eye, peeking at you through the hair that had fallen over his face like a veil. He managed to smile.
Thanks for waiting for me.
His eyes sparkled just to look at you. Just looking at you, his affection transparently clear. He never could hide what he was feeling, and he couldn't be more grateful for that today. I like you even more. Coves squeaked out a nervous giggle. He curled his hand into a loose fist and brushed the knuckle idly against his cheek. Words evaded him as he opened his mouth and closed it again. He gave up on finishing the sentence. Instead of just smiling again. He rubbed his eyes with the heel of his hand. It was an action usually reserved for much later in the day, but at this point, it already felt like a long day. Then Cove pressed a hand to his creased forehead.
Oh my god.
Oh. Yeah, I'm thinking, was it something like our parents and like his parents are against the idea of like at our ages being boyfriends or something like that? I forgot. Or having relationships. I don't remember. Does this mean I'm your boyfriend or something now? Should we tell our parents? I don't know what mom or dad would do. There were a lot of concerns in there. You honed in on the simplest. There was no way your moms would ever let you have a boyfriend, even though that word juxtaposed with Cove's name made your heart race. I want to be at least something, but I probably can't. It doesn't matter though, we like each other and that's what's important. Nothing else thought about your relationship changed what it was between the two of you. Cove lifted his hand from his chest and reached towards you, halting halfway, and slowly, cautiously hooking his fingers around yours, his palm pressed against the back of your hand. He held his hand back. You rotated your hand that you were palm to palm with Cove, your thumbs crossing one another. You can get it to work. You'll always figure things out sooner or later. You were temporarily struck speechless, your usual directness punctured by his honest brief and what you had together. You're right, we're a pretty good team. Chuckling, Cove smiled at you and tightening his grip on your hand. Snow, Cove. The sudden call from downstairs caught you both unaware. You'd nearly forgotten the world outside of your room. From the guilty look on his face, Cove had done the same. Just had a call. Cove's mom is ready to go. If you're quick, she might keep the mandated motherly smothering to a minimum. You doubted that, but it was nice that Mom and Mrs. Pierce had their strange sense of humor in common. Your eyes met Cove's. Wordlessly, you headed downstairs together. Each step on the way there was painfully slow, like he was trying to delay the inevitable. His whole body tensed leaving the house, and Cove froze altogether before he could, both could cross the street.
Oh.
Yeah, the door's open. Dad must be taking her stuff out. He swallowed hard. She's really gonna leave. I don't know. Was best. This, maybe? He felt a small shiver ripple through his body as the warmth of your hands sank in. It'll be okay, you can do this. He looked at you uncertainly, and you squeezed his arm for support. At that, some of the conflict wearing on his face eased a bit. Together, you went across the street and inside his house, finding his parents in the living room surrounded by his mom's packed things. Hey kids. Hold on, there we go. Good timing, I just called the taxi. Sorry, our life is bugging out. Hello? Sorry if it cuts out, if the stream ends, I'm sorry. Don't know what's going on with our life. I don't know what's going on with our life. Our life is being weird right now. Oh, it's horrible. Our life is horrible. I'm making a joke based on the name Our Life. Not saying the game is horrible. I'm saying our life as humanity is horrible. Whatever. You get the joke. I don't know what's going on. Oh, God. Do I have to exit and come back? Yes, the game crashed. We're gonna have to load it again. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know why that happened. That is so stupid. I hate that. I hate it. I hate you. Okay. Load. So stupid. That's so stupid. So sorry. So sorry. Okay, we are back. So sorry. The game crashed. Don't know why. Don't know why that happened. The game did. Okay, we're gonna try and skip.
Thanks for waiting for me.
Here we go. Try to get back to where we were.
Oh my god.
So stupid. So stupid. Not sure why it crashed.
Oh.
Trying to get this back. be safe in case it does crash again. Okay. Good timing, I just called the taxi.
Hi.
Hi, Snow. So glad to get to see you today. It was fabulous getting to know you this summer. I finally got to put on the name, a face to the name I've heard so many times. Yeah, I know. She winked and Cove pouted on cue over the teasing. I'm really happy I got to meet you too. Hopefully it won't be too long before we see each other again. Sure, everything looks good. Okay. Nodding, Kyra turned her attention back to the boys. She patted Cliff on the arm with a warm smile, then she enveloped Cove in a crushing hug. Initially, Cove squirmed to break free from her grip, but his mom was unfazed and kept him locked in place. Heartbeats later, he gave in and hugged her back lightly.
I'm so glad.
I'm so happy this trip was a success. Cliff looked like he was bursting with pride. And then Cove stiffened. Kyra loosened her hold on him enough to study his face, concerned. She spoke her next words in a whisper that had been meant just for her son.
What do you think?
Do you want to unshelve it? What? 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 Raising an eyebrow, Cliff watched them carefully. His smile began to falter.
What's wrong?
What's wrong? His gaze moved to the floor. He looked like he was grappling with where to begin. Then Cliff smacked a hand to his own cheek. The noise caught everyone's attention. Cliff's eyes were wide. He could clearly see the light bulb moment he was experiencing on his face. It should have been a surprise. Oh, I went behind your back again. Oh, yeah. It took me until the very last moment to realize it. Crossing his arms, Cliff laughed at himself. You could tell he was out of frustration and disbelief, rather than a usual good-natured feelings. What's happening? I'm really sorry. I really thought I had gotten better at this. I have. Cove's voice was small, but it was enough to break through his dad's thoughts. Cliff's mouth pulled into a small smile.
It's okay.
It's been a long time since something like this happened. Not long enough. You deserve better than a blockhead falling back into his old habits just because things seem to be going good.
I'm trying.
It won't keep happening. I promise I'll work on it. We can all work on it. I can try harder myself to be in the loop on what's actually happening over here. A happy smile spread across Cove's face, and he answered delicately, "Okay." You felt relieved seeing how much the whole family had grown together since you first met them. They could talk to each other more easily. After that, it wasn't long before the taxi arrived, rolling up in front of the house and in clear view of the open door. Kyra stood up, smiling sadly. Well, that's my ride. Yeah. Matching reply got a chuckle out of Kyra as you all filed out of the house. Father and son went with Kyra's bags in hand. Once outside, you spotted your family waiting by the street, and to your surprise, Derek was also with them. He stood uncomfortably and he waved as soon as you noticed him.
What's up?
Hi, Snow. Hi, Cove. Maybe one day if I get money, I'll play the other DLCs, you know? Hopefully a job, or, you know, people join and donate. Well, the donations will go to something else. What the goal is for school. But if I was to have enough money, I'd put that towards this. and doing the DLCs. But right now, that's not gonna happen. When did you get here? My dad dropped me off just a little bit ago. Thought I could visit one more time before school started.
Sorry.
You picked a busy time, sorry. Derek couldn't even look at Cove. He nervously kept rolling a pebble with the bottom of his shoe.
Sorry.
I was even thinking that your mom was gonna be leaving the damn site. What? You're not interrupting anything. You're always welcome here. It would have been sad if I didn't get to say goodbye before leaving. Derek came to hang out often, so it was inevitable that the two had met at some point this season. And I didn't even get to spend time with Derek since they don't have the DLC. I think so too. It was more apparent Derek would have preferred to have gone there at a more opportune moment. He never liked seeming impolite, but their reassuring words soothed his worries. The tension he was holding in his body lessened, and he looked like he was feeling much more like himself. Bye, Derek. It was fun getting to know you. Bye, ma'am. Is there anything I can do to help? Nah, don't worry over that. We're just about to set. In that short amount of time, Cliff had gathered and packed the bags into the trunk. Cairo took one last look at everyone inside. Alright, I don't want to keep the driver waiting. It's time to head out. The little crowd that had formed around started their course of farewells and well wishes traveling. But Kyra still made no move to get into the taxi. She placed her attention on Cove. I'll call when I get to the airport and when I make it to Nevada. Also, you could call the moment you walk in the door at home. Otherwise, we'll be wondering all night if you got into trouble on the way there.
Can do.
I can do that. And could you call tomorrow too, so I can tell you how school went? Of course! I want to hear all about that. Kyra put a hand on Cove's head and affectionately ruffled his hair one last time. She then let go, only to move on to squeezing his cheeks in her hands instead. Mom!
Cove.
I love you so much, baby. She was chuckling by the time she freed him, and rounded things off with a small tap to the tip of his nose. Cove rubbed at his face with a grin. Finally, she walked to the car while waving, and took her seat in the taxi. Cliff hooked an arm around Cove's shoulder, and kept him close as it began to pull away. For a moment, Cove looked up at his dad and then wrapped an arm across his back.
Bye.
Bye, Mom. Bye, safe travel. Kyra rolled down the window and stuck her head out of it. She waved again while blowing kisses at Cove and Cliff. See you again. Before she was out of sight, you decided to... don't know. Wave goodbye. I don't know. As the taxi headed down the road, you stuck out your hand in the air to send her off. The cab turned down the other road and completely disappeared from view. Cove let go of his dad and took a few steps out into the empty street, still looking to the direction his mom went. He smiled quietly, deep in thought. He got the impression Cove was feeling better than he was earlier, finally content with the way things were. You jumped a bit when your mom put a hand on your shoulder, pulling you away from your thoughts. She smiled when you looked at her. This was a great vacation, huh? Yeah. That's what I was hoping to hear. Cove walked back over to the group, still genuinely happy. Derek grinned at him welcomingly. and everyone else there was smiled at him, even Elizabeth.
Well,
Well, Ma clasped her hands together, bringing everyone's attention back to the present. It's almost lunchtime. I think I'll put something special together. Her eyes sparkled with a plan, and Mom smiled. I bet you could use some help with that. That'd be absolutely wonderful. Derek glanced between the two, his eyebrows furrowed. Is there something I can do? Mom exchanged a fond expression. Ma shook her head.
how
It's
sweet.
very sweet, Derek, but it's alright. It's not your job, technically. Your dad left you under Cliff's watch. You're meant to be taken care of by him, not doing chores for the neighbors. Mom laughed a little over her own joke. You watched Derek look away, discouraged.
It's okay.
It's okay, I don't mind. He was a little bashful about it. You wondered if Mom's joke had just reminded him that he was initially meant to be invited to lunch. It was getting a little awkward. Mom grinned sympathetically. Her comment was meant to lighten the mood, not bring it back down. Ma tried again to get things moving forward. Why don't you kids go have fun? You can all come back in about an hour. We'll make enough for everyone. Mom nodded in agreement.
Sounds good.
Another stunning idea, Lottie. Thanks.
Thank you.
That sounds like a plan, then. I don't want to cramp your style. I've got some stuff to work on, so I'll be here this afternoon. You should come by later, too. No reason you should be the odd man out. Mom seemed amused by Cliff rubbing his neck nervously. He grinned a wavering but pleased smile.
Thanks very much.
I appreciate the invite. He looked over the assembled crowd with knowing glances. I can help too. With as many people as you're feeding, that's gonna be a lot of food. Did you hear what we told Derek? You get the treatment that you gave Kyra. Didn't you hear what we told Derek? It wouldn't be fair to make you cook when we're the ones who are inviting you. Ooh, you get the treatment. Karma. You did that to Kyra. Now they're doing that to you. Ma raised an eyebrow when Cliff waved it off.
Come on.
I insist. Derek would be missing time with his pals. This would be a break for me. I'm quite the chef. Ma and Mom exchanged further glances before Mom shrugged.
True.
An airtight argument. If you're sure, we'll be happy to have you, Chef Cliff. Cliff's grin widened and seemed more hyped than you'd expect to see him about helping with lunch. Cove shook his head, a fond smile on his face. Then all of us grown-up people will be heading inside. I assume the rest of you kiddos are staying out. Maybe not all of them. Ma tilted her head, a silent question for Elizabeth. Your sister thought for a moment.
All right.
I'll stay with kids.
That's fantastic.
That's great. Both your moms smiled at her, while Derek and Cove didn't seem to appreciate her phrasing. With the plan decided, all three parents waved and headed for your house. It was just you teenagers now. Yeah. Elizabeth looked at you and the others, a curious expression on her face.
So?
So, what now? You silently wondered if Elizabeth only stayed out with you to avoid getting roped into work. Then again, she could genuinely want to hang out. You couldn't tell with your sister. Cove spoke up after no one else did to answer Elizabeth's question. I want to go down to the shopping street. It's been quite a while. I don't think there's a lot of things we could agree on. Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Sounds awesome to me, and like you guys, I haven't been there 1,000 times. 1,001 times. It's news to me. Let's do it. You strolled across the road as a group, down to the beach, then to the left. This took less than 50 minutes to arrive, one of the conveniences of Sunset Bird. The four of you looked around at the familiar shops, trying to see if anything caught your attention this time. Derek was the most enthusiastic. He checked out every stall with his eyes, with wonder. Elizabeth and Cove were in good spirits as well. That's so cool. He ran over to the street musician, who was currently doing a card trick for a group of enchanted tourists. Derek clapped when the magician showed a middle-aged man his guard. Derek turned back to the group with a curious gleam on his face. What does it take to perform here anyway? Do you have to ask somebody, or do you just show up and start doing stuff? Why would you even ask? It's a public street. Hey, Mrs. Mayor, can I pull a rabbit out of my hat, please? Flopsy is well behaved, I promise. Derek chuckled, his eyes searching up and down the scene. Maybe there's a boss of the shopping street? No one does any of this around my neighborhood. It's just regular stores behind malls. It's different if someone wants a real store. Like here, I'm pretty sure people are just putting on their little shows whenever they want and do whatever. So neat. Would we be allowed to do something too? Cove laughed and Derek began almost vibrating with excitement. Elizabeth rolled her eyes. What would we do? Well, I don't know. What? Not yet. I mean, I just found out it's a possibility, you know. But there's gotta be something. We know cool stuff. I'm sure if we think about it, we could plan a show that really get a crowd pumped. He gave a look to the other two. I don't know. Derek continued to brainstorm out loud about different potential performances while he glanced over at Cove and Elizabeth. I mean, I can bounce a soccer ball on my head. Last time I tried, I got 8 bounces before it fell. I won't bring a ball here. Why not? Cove gestured to everything around, the stalls, the people, all the colorful chaos that made up the shopping street. Would you want to chase a lost ball here? What if it hits somebody? Even if you're good, someone could bump into you. That's true. Derek thought about it some more, then he watched another performer, a woman doing tricks with 2 small dogs. One was fluffy and cream color, while the other was a cool gray. The woman held up rings. Both animals jumped through the openings, happy to receive a treat at the end. Derek brightened. Maybe I'll teach crabs how to race. Crabs? It could work. With some amusement, the gang continued to pursue the stalls. Elizabeth found some earrings with a dangling, badly misprinted globe that everyone laughed at. Cove picked out a blob as Iceland, but Derek thought it had to be Greenland. You know, this is a world with what looks like 9 continents. I think you're both wrong. I'm gonna side with Cove no matter what. I don't know. Looks like Iceland to me.
I know.
Right? Suddenly Cove rose. He stared at him, and when you tried to see what caught his attention, he saw a familiar face down the way. It all made sense. Oh no. Between the crowds, the bright hair stood out like a neon green bowl in a kitchen sink. It was Jeremy. Jeremy slowly drifted his eyes down the street, and his eyes widened in mutual recognition. He definitely noticed you. Derek frowned and Cove sighed. Neither of them were happy to see him again. Oh, God. I'll just wave, I guess. I don't know. He did not wave back. Elizabeth raised an eyebrow. Her gaze swept over Jeremy without a hint or a clue. Jeremy immediately scoffed to himself and waved deeper into the crowd of people. Derek relaxed and exhaled loudly. I'm glad he's not going to start anything. He peeked over at Elizabeth with a tiny smirk. See, that was the mean kid.
What?
Huh? She didn't get it. That first summer day hadn't made nearly as much of an impression on her as it did for Derek, but he smiled and waved it off. Just forget about him. Already have. He laughed and Cove smiled lightly. He seemed in a much better mood now that Jeremy was gone. His eyes wandered over to where Jeremy disappeared. He hadn't forgotten the day you met him either. He was only going to be in town for a vacation with the parents he hated. That glimpse was probably the last time you would ever see him. It's in the realization, everyone. Well, that should be the last time we see a bowl cut. I bet he's about to get out of here since the summer's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we won't have to worry about that guy anymore. Derek kicked a little rock in the road. It clattered forward, then rolled under a stall. But I think it's kind of sad Jeremy turned out to be, well, like he is. Would have been nice to make another friend. Cove shook his head. He was clearly not broken up over what happened, what might have been. Maybe he'll be nicer in the future. Elizabeth rolled her eyes at the strange farewell to the odd boy. Not interested in the slightest, she clearly didn't understand his impact, and at least she didn't want to understand. You couldn't help but wonder, what would have happened if you would have interacted with Jeremy more? Jeremy was like anyone you had ever met before. Horrible, maybe. Mean. You and the group moved on from the stall and from Jeremy. It didn't take long for everyone to return to the joking. You all enjoyed what little time you had left as Elizabeth mentioned the hour was almost up. The little trip had flown by and lunch must have been waiting for you now. Derek bounced on the balls of his feet.
Okay.
Come on guys, let's get going so we can eat. I'm starving. Phew, I've had enough walking around. Cove stretched one of his arms lazily. Let's go then. He looked at him appraisingly. Yeah, it's Cove to carry back to the house. Hey, Cove. Yeah. Carry me home.
What?
What? Cove turned red, obviously flustered. I didn't want to walk back. I don't want to. I've been on my feet for so long. Cove sighed and shook his head. Derek and Elizabeth became a chorus of laughter. Sweetie, please. He jokingly pleaded with him, much to the continued amusement of the other two. Alright. Cove stepped over to you. He looked like he couldn't believe what he was doing. Your lips quirked into a